Welcome to The Launch Pod, a platform for Takeoff. My name is Germaine Washington, and I'm the host of the podcast today. We will be speaking today with Amanda Materre, and she is a former student and officer of our Student Innovation Club. Her book and teaching career has improved our Educate, and also she has an MOU with HCC. She started multiple entrepreneurial ventures and has great lifelong lessons due to her experience. She is a published author who was invited by SCORE to talk on publishing content in the digital world. Welcome to the podcast, Amanda.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you so much. So the first thing I want to do is ask you, how did you get started in your career? Give me a little bit about your background.
I believe that necessity breeds innovation. And I can't remember who quoted that, but that's exactly why I started the way I did. And I just wanted to change the world. No matter how that was supposed to happen, I just knew I was a change maker and just wanted to put things in motion. So when I was 19 at Xavier University, shout out to Xavier, I had a tennis scholarship and everything, but I wanted to be more than just an athlete, more than just a student. So I won a grant when I was 19 with the Walmart Women's Economic Empowerment Grant to transform how women were seen in the work environment and give them everything that they needed, you know, with financial literacy. And this is about 10 years ago. So can you imagine the impact it would have now, right? So I created these different sessions that were to help people go from introspectively building themselves and then from the outside building themselves. So we did the resumes, we did the Dress to Success portion, we talked about financial literacy, conflict resolution, because we wanted to help people brand what they had. And then from there, it just kind of went from, okay, you're doing it with, you know, people who don't have, and you're providing them with things that they have. And now it was my peers that I was helping. And then other business owners wanted me to help them. And so it just kind of blossomed to where we are now.
Okay, so you know I have a follow-up question. How does a 19-year-old know how to get a grant?
Okay, well, let's take it back. So I'm a published author, and I started writing my book when I was 14. And
wow.
I started writing my book as a means to cope with whatever I was going through at the time. I've been overcoming depression and anxiety, and being an athlete and having all these expectations. I just didn't want to mess things up, you know, and go down the wrong road and try to, you know, do the wrong thing to cope. So I wrote, and that ended up coming into my book. And so my mom was really, really big on education and writing. And so I knew I didn't have the funds to start, you know, this venture, but I just really, you know, kind of studied underneath a lot of great professors in the College of Business at Xavier. And they helped me, walk me through, you know, the grants. And, you know, of course, I'm a praying woman. And I was like, okay, this is what I meant to do. Let's do it. And got the grant. I think I won it 2 times in a row.
Wow, that is a really amazing story for a 19-year-old to get her own grant and start working in the capacity that you did. Now, you said you wrote this book. Tell me a little bit more about the book, the title of the book. Is it available for people to get, or, you know, that might help?
Yes.
Tell me all about the book.
So the book is called, I wrote the book, like I said, when I was 14, but I waited to publish it until I was 18 because, you know, teenagers, hormones, you know, we're learning and we're building. And
Correct.
So I decided to publish it when it was time. When I published it, it was just about my life and using life lessons to help me. So in a way, it was me writing a letter to me to help me with certain situations to build. And then from there, I published 2 more when I was in my second college. So I went to Southern University, which is where I graduated. So I published my second one there. And so then I finally comprised all the books together and created Full Disclosure. And Full Disclosure is just being open and honest. In 2019, because of all the stuff that I was writing, I created a podcast that's very open and honest and truly full disclosure. And it just goes from being personal life to family to friends. So it's like a reference book, really, on, you know, different things I went through to help other people cope and be the person who I needed when I was younger.
Tell me, where can I get the book, or where can people go get this book, and also then follow up and tell us how we can hear your podcast and where we can go to obtain, you know, that information as well? Because I think there's a lot of students out there that this could help, because, you know, when you're trying to balance school and work and your goals of life, even as an athlete, it can be a lot of pressure. So tell us where we can get the book and how we can hear the podcast.
So it's fulldisclosure.me, and that's my website. So to get all of my, materials that I have, my books, I have 2 gratitude journals coming up. I'm just coming off of a 180-day cleanse, so that's going to be a whole book in itself. So that you have my podcast there, you have my books there, and then you can also schedule a consultation with me just to kind of like talk and kind of map some things out for those people who want to write their own books and who just kind of need some sense of direction. Because I don't mind being a sounding board. After being so vulnerable, I call myself the queen of vulnerability, but.
Oh, you're an open book, no cliche.
Yeah, right.
So how often do you do the podcast? Is it a weekly podcast? Is it a monthly podcast? How often do we do that?
It was originally just as whenever I felt the need to do it. And since I started my doctorate degree, I haven't had as much time. But I have a lot of material that I still have yet to publish. So it's going to be weekly.
Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to get into a question about your entrepreneurial background, because, I got your information from one of my colleagues, Ravi Raman. He's very impressed with you. And he said that you had multiple entrepreneurial ventures. Can you kind of give me some information on the entrepreneurial ventures?
I like to call myself a think tank. And in all honesty, that's what I am. Like when people have different ideas, I have ideas for days about different things. And when I first started, I thought I wanted to open a coffee shop because in, New Orleans, you have tons of colleges that are close together. And I wanted to do that. And so I started working with other people, and that was my original pitch into the incubator. But of course, I transferred schools, so things changed. But really, it's just been my brand development business. It's become, I'm the brand engineer. I help people build on a platform, to help them to create successful businesses. And that's what I've been doing. And it's kind of evolved over time. I started a tennis academy to give back because I had a full scholarship. So I wanted to give back and help other people in the community. And that's pretty much what all my different ventures were. There's some lists that I gave away and I sold. I didn't want to, but if I have the idea and I have the vision, there's some people who can just bring it to fruition better than I could. So the impact is still there. It just may not be under my name, but the impact's still there. And that's really all that matters.
Wow. So do you have a name for your company, or is it just like more like a think tank or is it a name for what you do as a brand development company?
What I created is called Created.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will continue talking to Amanda about her successful career, her speaking, and all of the things that she does. The Entrepreneurial Initiatives Department has all of these resources that you see. We have podcasts, we have TV shows, we have workshops and trainings to help entrepreneurs reach their goals. You can visit our website at hccs.edu/smallbusiness for more information about what we do. We have a new calendar that highlights all of our upcoming events and other information that is designed to help small business owners. We will be right back.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out. Good night.
And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
The faculty at HCC represents the best of Houston. Whether your goal is a 4-year college, a better job, or a whole new career,
come learn with us.
HCC, for everyone, anytime, anyway.
Welcome back to The Lunch Pod, a platform for Takeoff. This podcast is dedicated to helping our students who want to become entrepreneurs or leaders in the community with valuable information, motivation, and here today, listening to others who are doing the same thing you're doing. So we're going to continue our conversation with Amanda Materre. Amanda, welcome back.
Excited to begin the second segment. I'm excited.
Okay, so Amanda, tell me, what type of speaking engagements are you currently doing with HCC? I know that you have done several different things. Can you give us a whole laundry list of the type of speaking engagements you've done for us and that you're doing with us?
Well, anytime Mr. Ravi gives me the opportunity, or anybody for HCC, I have such a connection because that was where I got part of my foundation. Despite everything, I was at HCC at very pivotal times in my life. And in 2017, I reached out to Mr. Ravi, told him my idea that had, changed and grown because I was 19 when I started, right? And so you learn and you grow and you develop into, a better professional. And he gave me the opportunity to be an opportunity workshop instructor. And I did it at different campuses. And then I also did a summer workshop series called the Boss Up Workshop Series. And we did that for, 4 weeks straight during the summertime. And I almost had everybody that started with me for the first session to come up to the next one, a couple of executives that would just kind of popped in there with different companies. So that was awesome. I've spoken at the What is Your Why symposium, which I think is paramount. It's what I ask myself every time I decide to do something different in my life, because you need that structure. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To figure out, why am I doing something? Am I doing it because this is going to better me and get towards my purpose? Or am I just doing it for, as they say, clout, or trying to get the attention of others, just something that's, vain, because it doesn't last long if you're doing it for the wrong reasons. I've also been a mentor and a host of some of the business competitions, the pitch competitions, which I love doing because I didn't get a chance to be a part of the pitch competition. I was the only one that looked like me in the room. Okay. And I was a woman, so I had all these older men that were very seasoned in what they did, and they had no clue, who I was, just this wild child that decided to want to change the world,
It sounds like you brought a new perspective into the room.
Yes. And so now that I see that I can help, mentor others and give them the direction, and again, be that person I wish I had as I was growing and developing the different things.
You're a former student, and you're also a former officer of our Student Innovation Club. Tell me about what you studied at HCC and your time as a part of the Innovation Club and how it helped you to be better in what you're doing, your studies, and then tell me about how the Innovation Club all helped you round you out to be the woman you are today.
I joke about Ravi being my guru because he really helped give me a sense of direction. And I think that's what the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Club does. I know people think that business is just for people who want to be business owners, but either you're going to work for a business or own a business. And that's just the reality of life. And I feel like business helps you to see with a different lens and a different perspective. And it helped grow me as an individual just by putting me in different circumstances and opportunities. I will say this about Houston Community College, and I scream it to the top of my lungs, no matter how many degrees I get anywhere else, they provide you with opportunities and a proper foundation. And if you want it, just ask, and you'll have the keys of the kingdom.
Your major?
So what I majored in was, I started taking classes at HCC for continuing credits to help bridge the gaps in the different classes. And I was going to go for pharmacy. And so I was taking organic chem and all that good stuff. And it helped me to realize that I really wanted to be a teacher and actually want to be an educator. So it helped me to figure out really what I wanted to do and what my passion was, because I had been educating people the whole time. I just wasn't a certified teacher. And then now I'm having the time of my life. I love what I do. I would do it for free. If I could.
You need to eat.
But, yeah.
And you need to have shelter. So you have to,
Right.
So you started out wanting to be a pharmacist, and then you decided that you wanted to become a teacher. So is that what your final degree is in education?
Yes. So I've gotten my bachelor's degree was in education. I just got my master's from Walden. A week later, I started my doctorate degree, and that's also in education. So yeah, so that's where I want to be, and to help grow other educators. And if not, then be more, be more purposeful and intentional when I'm teaching and instructing others, because there's a lot of things that you earn or gain as a teacher that'll help you to motivate and aid other people.
I want to ask you, how are you balancing? And I always ask this question to every student, entrepreneur, person who has such a busy lifestyle, such as yourself. How are you balancing all of these things that you're doing along with your schoolwork? Because a lot of people think they can't do it because they're so busy with their schoolwork. How are you doing this?
2 words: self-care. I cannot say that enough. And I realized after overcoming depression and anxiety, it's nothing like having to actually force yourself to, I had no choice but to take care of myself and figure some things out. And I planned out and said, okay, man, this is what you want to do. You're doing it for the right reasons. I think that'll help cut down everyone else's list big time to help you feel like what you want. But also figuring out, who needs to be around you, what you need in order to get to that next level. What are you willing to sacrifice? What's temporary, in order to get something that's permanent. So I have a calendar. I try to keep myself organized, but I also leave time for myself. I understand that there's certain things that I can't do it all. As much as I hated to admit it, I can't do it all. But those things that I can, I have to realize that I am capable, and I build myself up through self-care in the morning. I give my mantras, I do my yoga, I keep myself situated. And then after that, I take on my day and take it one day at a time. Sometimes we're not successful as students and professionals and entrepreneurs because we think that we have to take things in big old chunks. And sometimes you need to just take it one bite at a time, so that way you can grow granularly and just kind of build upon, what you have, and enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, enjoy the growth, enjoy the good, with the bad and the being uncomfortable and out of your comfort zone. And that's honestly how you balance it out, and realize, like I said, that you're capable, and don't sell yourself short, and that you can't do it, and, hope that other people will encourage you. You have to encourage yourself sometimes and dig yourself out of those trenches. And I think, being a student is not easy, especially as a professional student, it's not. But if you plant that seed in your mind that you can handle it, you can handle it. And if you say that you can't, you can't. So like I say, with everyone, it always begins with you and what you want to do.
When we come back from our break, we're going to get back into I never got to finish the information about all your entrepreneurial. We talked about the coffee house.
Yes, and I feel horrible because I'm trying to.
No, it's fine. We're going to talk about the coffee house and other entrepreneurial, but I also want to know some of the topics that you do have on your podcast. We'll talk about that when we come back. So out there, please remember, again, I'm going to shout it from the rooftops that the Entrepreneurial Initiatives Department is there for you. We have so many areas under our department to reach our students and entrepreneurs in the community. So please visit our website at hccs.edu/smallbusiness to find out everything that's going on. We'll be right back.
HCC, for everyone, anytime, anyway.
I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
The faculty at HCC represents the best of the city. They're committed to getting our students to their goals.
A 4-year degree.
Workforce training. A better life.
HCC, for everyone, anytime, anyway.
Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. It's called The Lunch Pod, a platform for Takeoff. And right here, we want to help all of our students take off to the next level in their careers. So in this segment, we're going to continue to have our conversation with Amanda about her entrepreneurial career, her podcast, and all of the things that she's doing that is so wonderful and successful. So Amanda, let's get back to talking about, did you ever actually start the coffee shop, or did you just think about starting the coffee shop? Can you tell us about that?
So I mapped out everything. I did a whole business plan. And to me, business plans are not difficult. I don't know why. It's like, for me, I think a lot of people overthink what a business plan is. And so it's just really kind of getting the basics and the necessities of what you need in order to make sure that your business is successful. And so when I created it was called Just Brewing. And so when I created it, I figured out what we're going to sell. I wanted it to be student friendly, a place where students could hang out and, provide them with the resources and support that they needed to be successful, because you go out a lot of different places and you're supposed to study, but you get distracted and they don't have everything that you need. So in a nutshell, that's what I wanted to create. And I was going to do it, but then I ended up being transferred to Southern because I had a tennis scholarship. So I had to follow the money. So I went there and I did what I had to do over there. And so I had that. And so then now my business as a brand engineer has transformed into Created. So it's me. So it's Created with a K and then ED at the end. And I help make being a teacher, or use what I've learned from the business sector and now the education sector, and I put it together to give people ideas about how to create different courses, how to organize outlines, how to, when you're going to create some kind of business program or you're rolling out a new curriculum, you're able to actually implement that after you are finished. For example, if you're a professional and you're an expert and you want to basically teach other people how to do what you do, I help people map that out. That's my job.
Oh, okay.
I help them kind of bridge that gap. To help better explain, I help them to bridge the gap between being a professional and then, the education piece. So that way they'll always have a lasting legacy. And so that's really what that's all about. Before I started actually officially teaching, I was a brand engineer for the Valdez Center for Philanthropy at Southern University. And I helped write their entire curriculum for their 2018-2019 school year.
Well, how can people find out about Created? Like, do you have a website where people go to sign up? Is it the website you said earlier?
Yep.
And they can also find out about how to contact you for Created as well?
Yep, it's all there on my website. And then also I have a full disclosure for teachers, a teacher's edition, where I'm showing people what I've learned as a teacher and kind of use as a kind of like as a database or a resource or a reference to allow more people to kind of come into the education sector, and realizing that teachers have different faces, they have different backgrounds, they come from, different things, and your prior knowledge only helps to make you a better educator at the end of the day.
That sounds amazing. And I hope everyone goes to your website and looks it up and gets on there, because it's a much needed area. So let's talk about the topics that you have had on your podcast and some of the conversations, because you said it gets very raw and it's very real. Tell me about some of those things that's been going on the podcast that you've been discussing.
A couple of my podcasts, talking about turning cuts into gains. A lot of people think that when you cut different things out of your life, you don't want things to leave. You don't want things to change, because, a lot of people don't like change. But if you don't go through some changes and don't cut some things off, you can't see what you have, the growth that you have waiting around the corner. So that was one of them. I talked about my non-negotiables, and I also had another interview right after I did my non-negotiables, just things in life that you just have to have, like your bare minimum, regardless of whatever you're talking about, whether it be personal life, family, friendships, relationships. Those are just things that are just, I feel like, as a contract to you, from you to you, that you need to ensure that you're not breaking, because at the end of the day, you have to make sure you're good with you, because that's the only person you have to stick with for the rest of your life. So we talked about that. We also talked about being honest with yourself and not lying to yourself about certain things. A lot of people like to have smoke and mirrors, like a facade, like everything's okay. And for whatever reason, I think that's just social media culture and what we dealt with. But I'm just, allowing people to see the authenticity behind it and how people really want that genuine, that authentic person and that experience, regardless of whatever it is, because it's fleeting. And the truer you are to yourself, the more comfortable you are with yourself, the more you love yourself, the better you'll be. Not just for everyone else, but also for you too. What else? we talked about understanding that some of the things that people do in their life don't necessarily have anything to do with you. You know what I mean? Sometimes they're so easily offended and we realize that the offense has nothing to do with us, but everything to do with the other person. And I think my last thing I'll highlight is just boundaries, understanding where yours begin and where other people's ends, and realizing that you can only control what you say, what you think, what you do, and how you react. Anything outside of that, in my words, none of your business, but it helps keep your sanity.
Those are some awesome topics that you have. Do you have guests on your podcast, or do you just talk about the things that you want to talk about to the people that's listening, or do you have guests? Or tell me about that.
So I haven't added guests yet, just because I know I have some people that would like to join me with it. I'm really big on branding and making sure that you have the right people affiliated with your brand. This is also another gem. Just to make sure when you're creating something, sometimes we're so eager to want things to be so fast and, to get all the social media and the likes and everything, but just make sure that you're going to build something that's going to last. And so that's why I haven't really added anyone else to the mix, because I've been trying to figure out what I was going to do with it. This is kind of like letting my passion lead it, but I would love to have you on.
Just send me an invite. I'll be there. Anything for our students, or our former students in your case. I would love to. So speaking of different topics that have really affected people, and all those topics you mentioned are so necessary, how has your business and your life been affected by the pandemic? Because a lot of people lost businesses, lost jobs, lost income, lost people, lost family, so how have your life been impacted career-wise because of the pandemic?
To be honest, thankfully, I haven't had any kind of financial loss. If anything, it's allowed me to want to pivot and do more things. Because of the pandemic, I put out my book because everyone was at home. And I also had an increase in kind of mentoring people, and I did it for free, helping people out with building their businesses, because I understand what it's like to not have and really want something successful for your business. And, in my mind, I love planting seeds and helping others. So that's perfectly fine with me. But it definitely gave me the opportunity to build a platform around what I was really trying to do and allow myself to help other people. My mom and my dad are both first responders. And my little sister is going to school as a nurse, so my nerves are like shot. But we say prayerful, we say hoping for the best. But I can say thankfully I did not have I didn't lose as much as other people, but it did make me want to reflect and be grateful, because it could have been different.
That's very interesting. So I have a final question for you.
Yes, go for it.
What are you doing next? What projects do you have coming up, and what are some things that you have on the horizon? I know you said you had to pivot. Tell us a little bit about that, and how you, Amanda, are now moving into another level or increasing, yourself and your business and your opportunities.
Okay, so here first, I can tell you guys this. I haven't released it anywhere else. So I will be publishing a Rooted Not Rocked cleanse that I've been on for 180 days.
Wow.
I did no social media, cut cold turkey, and I had 10 rules that I made for myself, and I stuck to my rules, and it's a progressive cleanse. So the better I became, the more I healed, the more I was able to add and switch out and build on that. I am now a project manager for Educator. I went from being one of their employees, thank you, to being their project manager. I'm finishing up my doctorate degree. Now I'm also a principal intern. So I have a lot of ideas. I told you I'm a think tank. And so it's just amazing to be able to share everything with you guys and giving me the platform. I love to give back to HCC. Thank you, HCC, for everything. I couldn't have done it without you.
Amanda, thank you so much once again for being on the Lunch Pod, a platform for takeoff, and you are definitely taking off. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks everyone for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.